Dear friends, welcome to yet another installment of Orbital Geek. In this video, we're going to explore the latest discoveries about stars that show possible signs of technosignatures, indicating the possible presence of advanced alien civilizations in the Milky Way. Recent observations in radio light suggest that, for some of these stars, the infrared emissions can be explained by natural phenomena, such as galaxies obscured by hot dust. But do all of these emissions have a conventional explanation? Or could some of these technosignatures actually be evidence of alien megastructures? The answer may surprise you. So, stay until the end to find out if we have finally found evidence of intelligent alien life in our galaxy. Your comment is invaluable to us. It helps the algorithm recommend our videos to more people, which is crucial for the growth of our channel, especially at this early stage. If you can, leave a comment, even if it's just a simple hello. Your participation makes all the difference. 53 stars were discovered by 2 different studies that seem to exhibit these unusual signals. To be more precise, these signals consist solely of infrared light, specifically an excess of infrared light that, sometimes, can be a possible indicator of some type of megastructure covering a star. In other words, if a super-advanced alien civilization had built a Dyson sphere or a Dyson swarm around the star, this would produce a lot of residual energy that would be emitted at certain infrared frequencies. This idea was proposed decades ago by the mathematician Freeman Dyson, who imagined this concept, assuming the existence of Type II civilizations, which would suddenly demand so much energy that they would have to capture it directly from the star. And so, by observing millions upon millions of candidates in the Milky Way galaxy and analyzing specific properties, especially infrared light, the researchers identified 53 interesting stars and 7 very intriguing candidates. It is these candidates that are now generating much discussion. Their names, distances, and general locations are listed on Wikipedia, and you can check them here, with most of them being around 500 to 900 light-years away from us. All of this is part of the project known as HIOS. Basically, this project seeks to identify various technosignatures of super-advanced civilizations. It's a Swedish project, led mainly by the team from Uppsala University, and this was one of their recent studies. However, even the scientists themselves, despite being excited about this discovery, remain cautious about the results. The overall conclusion of the study is that, although there may be natural explanations, at present there is nothing that explains the 7 candidates, and further observations are needed to find out what is generating that extra heat. The study also emphasizes something crucial. Although these objects resemble Dyson swarms, it is very premature to assume that they really are Dyson-like constructs, mainly because much of this data is not of high quality. Therefore, a lot more observations are needed, and more importantly, more precise observations to confirm it all. As has happened in the past, even the distances here are not super precise. You can see it on Wikipedia, where for some of these stars, the distance varies by up to plus or minus 20 light-years. However, these 7 unusual stars left many scientists extremely excited, even more so than that star we talked about a few years ago, sometimes referred to as the Tabby's star. And then, we have in front of us a new study that came out a few days ago, or basically 2 weeks after the original study, that potentially clarifies at least 3 of these stars, using well-known natural phenomena that are not emitting those radiations. You can find the study in the description below, but essentially, the title already reveals it all: background contamination. To conduct this study, the scientists only had to do one thing: observe these objects at very different frequencies and try to find out if there was anything else there that was previously invisible. The original study used observations from the WISE telescope, which uses infrared light, and from TUMAS, which uses optical light. However, they had not observed these objects using radio light. The infrared light was definitely detected by other telescopes, but now this team also used the Very Large Array Sky Survey, VLAS, and data from other radio surveys to check if there was anything else there, specifically in terms of radio frequencies. They were not looking for radio transmissions or aliens trying to contact us, but rather anything that could have been hidden from the optical telescopes. They specifically focused on any radio source within about 10 arc seconds, as that would definitely cause contamination. Although for most of the objects they did not find anything so far, candidates A, B, and G did indeed have a radio source. You can see the three here, with candidate G having multiple sources at the same location. So what does this mean, right? Well, this gives us a possible answer as to how those emissions formed. Out of the 7 stars studied, it appears that 3 of them are extremely unlikely to be Dyson spheres, as these heat emissions are not coming from the stars themselves. Instead, they may be coming from some kind of source similar to what we see here, a very known phenomenon. These are known as hot, dust-obscured galaxies, and they are really hard to find, but they produce very unique infrared emissions. Technically, we are talking about a quasar with a lot of dust around it. All that dust is being heated by the outflows from the black hole, making the galaxy shine in infrared light. Other similar galaxies, like luminous infrared galaxies, produce very similar effects. However, other light frequencies that we would normally be able to detect are blocked by the dust. Today, it is believed that these unusual galaxies represent an evolutionary stage where the central black hole is consuming material extremely fast, even faster than star formation, and is technically in the process of clearing out all that dust, eventually making the galaxy visible. We have known about these objects for less than 14 years. The first one was found in 2010 by the same WISE survey used in this particular study. Only about 1 in every 3,000 quasars is normally a hot dog. So let's imagine that at least 3 of these objects identified by this investigation may have been influenced by these distant hot dogs that we never knew about, which is perfectly plausible, by the way, or by a similar galaxy that could be visible with further observations. In essence, this seems to be a pretty solid explanation for at least 3 of these stars. Of course, further confirmation is needed, probably utilizing different instruments, like the James Webb Space Telescope, which has the ability to reveal to us if the origin is galactic. But since these candidates are detectable in radio light and very likely contain some kind of jet, this would generate enough contamination to make it seem like the emission is actually coming from the star. So, these 3 stars are apparently positioned in front of these very peculiar and powerful objects. However, this is still quite preliminary, and in fact, this paper is quite brief, mainly because these observations are very initial. Further observations in radio and infrared light would definitely be needed to determine if the origin is a galaxy or a star after all. To offer a comparison, here is an image of one of those candidates in infrared, and here is an observation of one of those hot dog galaxies at very similar frequencies. As you can see, they look quite alike. If these galaxies were indeed at that location, this would likely clear up the situation for 3 of these stars. And the other 4? Well, for now there is nothing definitive, no additional radio observation at least. But I'm sure new discoveries are underway. In fact, many scientists are likely focused on this now, trying to find natural explanations because, let's be honest, it is extremely unlikely that they are Dyson spheres. When we think about technosignatures, I don't even think Dyson spheres are the best option to look for. How would you build a Dyson sphere? How would we make one in our solar system? Would we start by dismantling Mercury piece by piece, putting the chunks in orbit around the Sun? Or maybe we'd bring asteroids from the asteroid belt. Even for a Type 2 civilization, there would be enormous logistical challenges to overcome. So maybe Dyson spheres aren't really what we should be looking for. There are many better alternatives. One of my favorites is called a Clarke belt, named after the iconic Arthur C. Clarke. It is basically a belt in geostationary orbit. We can assume that advanced civilizations, especially spacefaring civilizations, would utilize the geostationary orbit of their own planet. Just like around Earth, there would be a lot of movement in that orbit, something extremely hard to occur naturally. Finding such a belt around a distant terrestrial planet would be fascinating. They would look like a typical ring system when observed as a tiny shadow transiting in front of a star, which would confirm the existence of something really peculiar, suggesting that something strange is happening or happened in the past. Those belts can last for a very long time, even if the civilization goes extinct, something that will eventually happen with our belt and geostationary satellites, which will remain in orbit for a long time. We can also look for different contaminants in a planet's atmosphere, another way to search for alien life. We'll discuss many of these ideas on future videos on the channel. These 7 objects are definitely exciting, but without further observations, we cannot draw any conclusions yet. And so, even if it were possible that these structures are Dyson spheres, it could also be some kind of dust around the star, perhaps originating from a planetary collision. It could be a planetary disk, or even fragments of a disk emitting similar thermal signatures. Or, who knows, some anomaly on the stellar surface, which could lead us to new discoveries in stellar dynamics. Therefore, at least for now, as of June 2024, let's assume that maybe they are not Dyson spheres, although, obviously, we all wish they were. The discovery of these 7 stars with alleged technosignatures generated great enthusiasm in the astronomical community. However, new observations in radio revealed that at least 3 of them are likely just distant galaxies, obscured by hot dust, perfectly explaining the anomalous infrared emissions. For the other 4 stars, we still do not have enough data for definitive conclusions. They may have unknown natural sources, or they may be the result of activities from extremely advanced alien civilizations, exhibiting infrared emissions as residues from megastructures around their stars. However, from a scientific standpoint, the hypothesis of Dyson spheres built by aliens remains quite speculative. It may be more realistic to look for signs of more plausible technological signatures, such as artificial belts orbiting planets. But who knows? One day we may find definitive evidence of highly developed extraterrestrial intelligence in our galaxy. We must continue investigating thoroughly and objectively. So, what's your opinion? Can the technosignatures really be of alien origin, or would they just be misunderstood natural phenomena? Comment below with your unbiased analysis of this intriguing cosmic mystery.